Welcome folks to tonight's stream, and we shall be continuing as we always do with our current project Groenland, which what we're going to do tonight is I have just found our retargeted zombie stuff, so if it's okay with you guys out there in YouTube land, we are going to have a look at our animation blueprint, and we are probably going to have a look at this blend space and basically sort it out. So we're now looking at the infected crawl stuff. Okay, so this is going to be infected zombie idle, infected zombie walk, infected zombie run, walk back, and we haven't really got we have got a strafe left and a strafe right, although I don't know if we're going to have a need for them much. But anyway, what we could do is we could have a look at our zombie now, right? And he seems to be running at not exactly the right speed. Right? So I'm actually going to change this and I'm going to clear it, is what I'm going to do. Right? Or alternatively, we might have to actually make our zombie move faster. Right? Which would make our speed have to go from minus 100 up to 300, let's say. Okay. But what we're going to have to do in that case is we're going to have to look at our infected zombie. Okay, we'll sort that out in a minute. Right, so this, we've got a maximum walk speed here of 150. I'm going to put that up to 250. Okay. And we are actually going to set this to run. Right, we'll save that. We'll close that. We'll run it again. That's cool. Okay. So, now we need animation blueprint. And what have we got here? We have basically that. Okay. And not a lot else. Now the interesting thing was we did have stuff in our AI. What I'm going to do, right, is I'm going to close this everything down for now, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the animation blueprint. I'm going to open up the actual character blueprint. And I'm going to open up our AI controller, our behavior tree, and our blackboard. Okay, so we've got all the stuff here that is going to control our character. Now, my colleague has given me some instructions on how he wants. I asked him for instructions on how he wants our zombie to behave. Okay, so I'm going to paraphrase them for you once I find them. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so the most interesting thing that we could play with just now, right, is we have an arrow, but the way you can kill a zombie is with a lit arrow. Okay, so now the interesting thing here is, where did I put the arrow? Well, basically you spawn it, okay? So that is actually going to be in our pawn. Okay, so let's have a look at our pawn. Okay. So this is the equipped bow. This is the fire arrow. Okay. So here is our arrow. And we're going to have to work out how to do this, because I'm not sure yet. But we are going to have, I believe we're going to have a particle system. Okay. And that particle system is going to be some kind of fire. Okay. Now, what we're going to actually do now... Hey Starman, how are you doing? Nice to see you back. What we're going to do is, I'm going to show you guys... Now, I'm not against this one yet, right? I'm not against this one. We'll see what else we've got. And then what we'll do is... Now, that could work. Okay, that's not going to work. But what we're going to do here is we've got all these particle systems here, but they're all normal particle systems. Okay. Now, the interesting thing here... Yeah, that's just not going to work. We want, like, the torch fire. Or we could have, I think it's candle. Candle fire. And it's going to do some monkeying around. So, what we're going to have to do here, and what you guys are going to have to do as well, if you're using version 4.7 or 4.27, sorry, or any version up to 5, and I'm pretty sure you might need to do this in Unreal 5 as well, is you're going to have to go to your plugins, right, and then you're going to have to go to Niagara, Cascade to Niagara Converter, okay? And it always says beta version. We click OK. We'll let it complete our shaders. In fact, no we won't. How are you tonight, Starman? What are you working on? You were working on something, weren't you? I believe. Unless I've got you mixed up with someone else, of course, but which is always possible for me because I'm an old man and forget shit. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through the process of copying over a cascade particle asset over to a Niagara. Okay, so we're going to open this, right, and once this is open, right, now we don't have a particles folder on its own, so let's create one. I do love creating a folder or two. Right, so we'll call it Niagara Particles. Okay. And our arrow, let's go back to our viewport. Let's go back to our particle system. And I believe we wanted to try a candle, right? So we'll find a candle. Right, that's not exactly going to put the fear of life into you. Okay, that's going to compile. Okay, so we're going to have to wait on this. Come on, compile. Do the good thing. Do we have another candle fire? We do, but again, it needs shaders done on it. Now, of course, we could just go for the torch and then just muck about it a bit. Apparently it doesn't like that either. Right. So that's not ideal. Right, it's not ideal, but we can fix it, is what I'm saying. Right, so we are going to remove this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to there, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say convert to Niagara system. Now, it's unlikely that this is going to come over as a perfect Niagara system. Okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to open the Niagara system up and we're going to see how it looks. Then we're going to, I'll tell you what I'm going to do first. I'm going to make this a bit more viewable for you guys because I keep forgetting to do it. So hopefully that is a bit clearer. So you'll notice here that we've got a lot of things that are kind of not right. And what we need to do is basically convert these or fix them or remove them. Okay? Now, there is a few things that we're actually going to delete out of this system. Right? And what we're going to do first is we're going to rename this. And we're going to call it Niagara system. Right, how do you think of that for originality? And then what we're going to do is we're going to move it into our Niagara particles. Then once that's done, we'll start some work on it. And we shall probably, while these compilers are doing it as well, we'll keep working on it, right? And we'll just get it down to the basics of what we want. So we're probably going to remove smoke. We're going to probably remove embers. We might remove distortion. And we will fix up anything that's got a problem. Okay? And that will give you guys an idea of how to move stuff into Niagara. So, once this gets around to actually doing it, we shall venture on. while that's doing it, any of you guys out there got any questions or whatever, or want to see anything, then let me know. Right, so basically what we got, not a sudden lock, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch everything off, and then I'm gradually going to switch them back on. Okay, so I'm going to switch off distortion, embers, and then smoke, right? And that basically just leaves us with the flames, okay? Which is fine. So our next thing here is any of these ones with a message, we'll just say acknowledge and clear this issue, right? This one again, acknowledge, clear issue. We don't want that, right? So this has got a compile thing. Right? And this is dismiss that. So we just say use recommended. There will be some issues when you're doing this that it won't fix, right? So you might need to add a new copy of what you've just deleted and copy it across and then delete the old one, or set it to not use it or something like that, right? There we go. We actually had two things here. We've got flames and flames 01. Okay, so what we should actually do here is we're going to disconnect that one. Then we're going to go through the same thing, right? Acknowledge and clear. And I'm not going to be in the slightest bit surprised if this has exactly the same problems, right? But we probably might be able to just clear them. Maybe not one of them. Right, it's no version. Right, so we'll go with that. That's fine because we're happy with that. Okay, we have a look down and we see we're getting, and as you can see now, we've actually got some fire. Okay, now we've got this particle update, which it doesn't particularly like. Dismiss that. And we have acceleration force. Right, so basically we just do that. Okay, and we're going to go to initialize particle, and we're going to be, I think we're going to be lucky here. This is all soft deprecated stuff. So basically we now have no errors on our first set of flames, and that's a bit of a bonus. Okay, so what I'm going to do while that still compiles away is I'm going to switch this one on and I'm going to do the same thing. There's a lot of different ways you could do it. It depends how you want to do it. there's different approaches. My first approach would be to get a dissolved material, right, which I have used. And what I would do was, when the character died, I would place a skeleton inside them, right? And as the dissolve happened, basically the dissolving would reveal the skeleton, right? Now, it really depends on how you're going to do it. Whether you're going to actually make it the character, or if the character basically falls down dead, then what you could do is replace it with a blueprint that has basically got the same mesh as the character with the skeleton inside it. Swap it out, right? Basically make the original character invisible, but make the replacement visible, and apply the dissolve to its outside mesh, which will reveal the inside mesh. But it depends how you're going to do it, right? As per usual, there's not one answer to these things. Right. So it's a normalized angle. So that should have cleared that error. Now it looks like it's got this one's back, which is basically we put that after the other one. And this is going to be the soft deprecating thing again. Now we have still got this one here. Okay. Which is the sprite attributes. Angle conversion. Okay, so where exactly? It's this thing here. Now it has compiled, right, but what we're going to do to make it go completely away is initialize particle, right, and it's going to go here. And then we do that, and I believe this was 0.1. 7 to 1. Right, so we can set that. Mask color is fine. Okay. Sprite size mode. Okay, we just vector 2D from float. Okay. So let's try that. We can check this. And it's a random float range. Okay. And we've got minimum 50, maximum. That's vector 2D from float. Okay. Now I don't know if we actually have that. Let's Is it that? Okay. So we're going to go with that. And it was what, 50 and 60. Right? 50 and 60, so we'll go with that, and everything else was done. Right? So now we can delete that one, and we don't have any errors anymore. Right? And now what we can do is we can stick it at the end. Now you'll notice it's still got these embers, which ain't a great idea. And we're going to stop that for now. Oh, and we're going to actually add our Niagara system to it. Right? And there we go. Now, the next thing we can do here is we can go back to our here. We can get our initial sprite sizes, and then we can basically, I'm going to switch flames off, right? And then what we'll do is we'll start bringing these down. And no, hey, rotten line, ask away, mate. Don't worry about it. What we could do here is, in the first instance, we can pull in our radius, right? And indeed, if we switch on our other one, we can also pull down our radius, right? And then if we look at our arrow, it should be a bit better, right? Still not great, but we'll gradually make it better and better. So when we initialize the particle, right, let's pull this down to 15 and 13. Actually, that was higher, wasn't it? I'm going to undo that, right? Okay, maybe I'm not. Do you use live coding in Unreal? Some things online say not to use it, but of course. I take it you mean C++. So that's going to be 15. That's going to be 13. Let's call that 18. And let's call that 16. My answer would be this: use what works for you. Right, I've used live coding and I've used not live coding, and I think I ended up just not using live coding. But Unreal Engine can be a bit pernickety about that stuff. So I would say use both. Try them out. Whatever works on your machine and seems to be the least problematic, go with that, right? There's no right answer to it. As with everything in Unreal Engine, there's no right answer to basically practically anything. There's just a way that works for you. So yeah, you'll get used to doing it one way, right? And if that way makes sense to you and it works for you, then that's the right way for you. Okay? That's the way I would put it. Right, so we should have brought Yeah, there's no. See, the problem is that they don't really give you a correct practice because I don't think they know what the correct practice is because, you've got outside influences like if you're using um, Visual Studio, you're obviously using Visual Studio or something, right? So if you've got a problem with that, the way that that's integrating or something like that, obviously Unreal can't control that, right? So as I said, there's no right way or wrong way to do it. It's just the way that you find that works for you, right? Try it with live coding switched on. I didn't really notice a difference when I done it. It was a little while ago since I used C++, but I think I found that switching off live coding was better for me, right? But as I said, I'm not saying that's going to be the best case scenario for everybody, okay? It's just a case of whatever works for you. Right, what we're going to do here is we're going to muck about with our acceleration forces. It's never gone so bad for me that I lost a project, right? Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to half all of these. And I'm going to do the same here. And we'll go 1.5. And yeah, we are working on a survival Viking game. If that sounds interesting. Don't know if that sounds interesting or not. And I don't know if that's made any difference or not. I think yeah, it's the sprite size that's killing it here. So I'm going to have to do a change. I'll let you see. Hang on a second. I'll let you see what... I've got like a little test map where I run around and do things. It's third person. Right, so here's our little test map where we run around. I can control the weather and stuff. I've just started work on the zombie, which is where we started. But basically you can... Right, so we've got our HUD going. We've got our head moving, all sorts of stuff like that. You can like climb, open, close, Brazier, that doesn't do anything until you pick up some wood. Right, so you can pick up the wood, and now you can light the brazier. Blends to the right camera, blends back out. This changes the temperature around you. As you'll notice on the left, our little thermometer goes up. Right? And as you move away, you'll notice that the temperature is going down. Okay, so you can do that. You can go up to shield and you can pick it up. Then, oh yeah, I didn't do anything with the bow, right? But then you can pick up, like, let's say that, and then you can eat this. So you can pick this up or you can use it. R to eat, so press R and you'll notice my little meter at the top for eating going up. You can go up to ladders and you can climb them. It's not a great ending to this particular animation, but we don't have a sort of get off the camera thing, right? So you can open up your inventory, right? Then you can click on an item and you can inspect it, blah blah blah. These aren't the best things to show because the pivot point isn't right, but you can get the idea, right? The functionality was the main thing. You can see that we take into account that. Now if I use the cup, which again isn't the right scale, or yes, the temperature is going to have an effect on the player. It basically is going to make their energy go down quicker if they're colder, right? So what I can do is I can use this, and then if we exit, you'll notice that the water's gone up. It went up there to there, right? So you can see all that working. We've got, as I said, there's a zombie running about here somewhere, and there is a goat somewhere as well, which I don't know where it is. Right, I'm going to do it again, right? So if we press play, right, we can go into hunting mode, and you can see there's a goat there. Bang. Now I think I shot it there, and you can actually see the arrow. Right, I hit it there. Right, you can see with the arrow because the particle system is there, right? But the arrow goes so bloody fast. There's the thing died, right? Right, so we can run over, and what we can do is we can skin it. So we can go skin, and she skins it. Yes, you can see snow tracks, right? And it tells you what you got. You got 3 meat, right? So then we can go into our inventory, we can click on it and use it, right? And you can see that our health is back, or well, hunger is back up, right? Yeah, everything creates snow prints and stuff. So if I run through the snow, there's a zombie over there, by the way, in the distance, right? You can see that we create snow. So in real time, you'll be able to hunt. If you see like footprints from a goat, right, you'll be able to go, ah, there was a goat here, and you can follow the footprints up until if there's snow or not, right? So I can show you that. And it does hear you, like see how it just ran away? Now, it's not in the best place, but it did create, you see? It did create footprints. It's part of an asset. So we have had to like implement all of these things and make them work how we wanted. But yeah, So, and this is a real time thing. You see the clock on the left hand side, right? Well, that is tied to our weather and our day night cycle. So it is actually 10:30 in the morning at this point in our on our map, and if we leave it running, it'll eventually get to night time when it'll get dark, right? But the problem at the moment is it's kind of the ambient lighting is too much, so it doesn't actually look very dark, right? And it might be also because of the snow that's doing something that's making it seem a bit lighter. But yeah, so basically I'm building all the base systems where you need to pick stuff up to use stuff, which is going to be similar for the arrow. Like, you'll need a fire to light an arrow. Okay. Possibly. I'm trying to convince my colleague that we have an internal temperature core, or core temperature for the player, right? And as that goes down, basically, like, you'll move slower, everything will become slower, and your energy will be burned up quicker. But yeah, and you can you'll notice now that a lot of these tracks are now basically going away. So these go away over time as well, which would happen in real life basically. Right guys, I'm going to let this run for a minute, okay? I'm going to go and grab a cigarette. I'm going to let it run so that hopefully by the time I come back it's night time. And if that doesn't work, I'll speed up time. So I'm going to go and grab a cigarette. If you're enjoying the stream, hit the like and subscribe button, guys. And check out the description for my links to my Discord and also to my Patreon and my previous game on Steam. I'm not going to jump in the water because there's no point, right? The point is where you are, basically if you jump into the water or go anything over ankle deep, you're dead, right? Right? If you imagine it's minus 50 outside and you jump in the water, you're dead. Simple as that. You're gone. Okay? So, I'll be back in a minute, guys. Don't go anywhere. Okay guys, it should be getting dark. Now as you can see, the things are down to nothing. My actual bars are down to nothing, which is fine because they're not set to do anything at the moment, but they will. They will. Okay. Now I'm not sure when it's supposed to get dark, but does that look dark at you guys? It should be getting dark, in theory. I found it really quiet there. Don't know what it was, but right. So I'm going to say that's darker, right? And I'm going to show you the actual first part of the first level in a second or two, right? Not the test level, the actual first level. Now, while we're waiting on time, these boxes on the ground basically tell you if you're outside or inside, okay? So you can see that she's got her hand up blocking, right? Now, if you go inside, obviously, you won't need to put your hand up because basically inside the weather doesn't affect it. But if you go back outside, she puts her hand back up, okay? And this is just taking advantage of the animations and blocking certain parts of animations and when they run and when they don't, okay? Now, I've just remembered, I've got a big light, point light above this door, right? And that's probably why this all looks a bit lighter than it should, right? And there's obviously a light over there as well, but you can see that this should be really dark, but it's not really. Right, but as I said, I don't know what time sundown and sunrise is. We can check though. Right, if we go down here and go to our, I believe, our sky controller, right, we can check. You can see what time of day it is. Dawn time is 10, dusk is 14, right? So night brightness okay. Okay, whatever. So if I change that to 1, that's a lot darker. Right? If we go even further than that, right, that's beginning to be a lot darker. Hi Shikama, how are you? So what time did it? Dawn is 10 a.m. Right? So I think what we'll do is we'll actually set this dawn time 10 o'clock, right? So we'll actually set this to 8. Right, now it's dark. Okay. It's not that dark. Now, the question is, this has been set back. Right, okay. So we're going to stop that for now. We're going to set this to 0.5. In fact, if it was me, I'd go for 0.25 because I'm crazy that way. So this would be night, right? And we'll gradually get to see it turn into day, in theory. In theory, that is, of course. Now, obviously, it's still pretty goddamn dark. Okay. Now, is it going to prove me a liar here by not getting light? I've been assured by my colleague that this should work. Right, so if dawn is 10, I'm guessing it should start happening at 10. Okay. And I think it is getting lighter. It's definitely getting lighter. Yep. I would say that's pretty light now. And it should gradually get, I'm guessing, a bit lighter yet, which it is. And there you go. Day-night cycle all working. Okay, so let's have a look. Since we're playing around, let's have a look at the actual map. And I'll probably look like a fool when this doesn't work. It didn't work the other night, but apparently we had fixed it, and this looks like it will work. So, not sure on compiling stuff here or shaders, but we'll try it. And here we have it. So basically you're just off the boat. And you can see we have lovely Viking boats. And if you basically end in the water, you're basically dead now. This is going to go to your cut screen. Okay, it didn't go to a cut screen. So I believe and she's still kicking up snow for some reason. Those birds are supposed to go flying away. And you can see now it's starting to compile shaders. And yeah, compiling shader time. And a bit jumpy because it's still compiling shaders, but we go into here and you can see that my colleague hasn't actually updated some of these things, because that should be an interactable door. So this is actually good because I can now test stuff and find out if something is working or not, right? And in this case it's a not. And we've got a compiling shader close again. And you can see once again that we can't really do anything there. And there are some old assets that might still be here, like that is going to end up being a guide for me to know what to do with certain stuff. Obviously we've still got our... It's not available yet, mate, but it's going to be. We're hoping to do a Kickstarter basically at the start of the year. That was one thing I was actually going to do tonight if I felt like it, which was to build in the Steam integration thing. Right, so you'll basically be able to come in here, and if there's stuff available, you'll be able to use stuff. Right, etc, etc. And we've still got our thing. Now I know there's a brazier in here. So, and I know this isn't under the correct okay, so I can't remember how to light these to be fair. And we seem to be stuck. Okay, well that's just a quick look at the first level that's been worked on for now. Or a look at the first camp for my computer. Well, it's still going. So it is still the shaders that's causing the problem. And this will probably be bad for the stream. So, if anybody has any questions, now's a good time to ask while this is going ballistic. I'm going to check on this to see if it's actually stalled or not. That's not what I wanted to do. It is still doing stuff. And it has given me a crash report. So I'm not 100% sure if it's either crashed. It's definitely not got a not responding, so it seems to be doing stuff. Right, apparently it didn't crash, it's apparently just deciding to do something now. Which is nice, I suppose. Right, so this is the weird look when we do that. So, if we go back to our test map, right, so our next thing is to get our arrow to light. Okay, so if we go to our, where was our arrow? More to the point. Right, so we're not going to auto activate that. Okay. So, how am I going to do this? Well, it's going to be, I think it's going to be an interface call. Which adds a problem, in fact. Okay, I'll show you what the problem is. How fast is my PC? It was powerful 7 years ago. It's an i5 what was it, 4700? 4900? 4700 overclocked, and I've got two 980 Ti's which don't make any difference. So basically I've got a 980 Ti, 16 gig of RAM, two SSDs, blah blah, whatever. But it's not the greatest idea to have the greatest machine unless you've got two machines, one for testing and one for developing. Because obviously, if you've got some super duper machine that you're developing on, everything's going to look as if it runs like a dream. And then you put it on a normal person's PC and it's a slideshow. Now, the problem here is fairly simple, right? But I need an elegant solution, right? Now, we can light this Okay. And now, if we go into hunting mode, we should be able to light an arrow. So, what I'm going to do, this is my first iteration of trying this. Okay, and actually, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the class settings here, and I'm going to go interactable. Okay. And then I'm going to open up our brazier, and then I'm going to open up our, where is it? Interfaces, under interactables, right? And I'm going to add a function. And it's going to be light arrow. And this is probably only going to be in anything that equates to a fire, right? So I'm going to take a little look at this to see how it's going to function first. Okay, so this is actually going to make things a little bit weird. Well, to begin with anyway, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to say event light arrow. Okay. And we're going to need to know well, put it this way, the first issue is our character is actually going to have to spawn the arrow before she actually shoots it, right? So, with that in mind, we have to change the way the pawn actually does this, right? Because I'll show you. When we equip the bow, and it's only when we fire the arrow right, that we actually spawn this. So, with that in mind, we're actually going to have to do it slightly different. Okay. And with that in mind, when we equip the bow, we're going to have to also spawn our arrow. Okay, then we're going to have to attach the arrow to the bow. Now, the problem there is that our bow is not a blueprint. Oh, actually, I'm talking nonsense, it is. So, we can go to our bow, right? Now, the interesting thing here is what this mesh looks like, and it is a static mesh, which means that it ain't going to have a skeleton, so we can't attach it to a bone on the bow, right? But since there's going to have to be more work done to that anyway, what I shall do is I'll add a scene component, and I'll call it notch point, right? And I'm not sure this is going to work or not. Right, so we're going to have to look at this from front. Okay, not the front. From the left will do. So we've got our notch point here. We'll go there, what the heck. Now, I believe that might be facing the wrong direction, but we'll soon find out. So, if I go perspective, and things went drastically wrong there. Right, so we'll go there. So if I select my mesh, they're both facing the same wrong way, which should be okay. As I said, this is just to play. I really want, this is the important thing, isn't this, put it that way. Okay. So we're going to go back to our bowl, we're going to go back to our pawn, and where was it? Here. Okay. So we shall do that. And attach. Now, as I said, this hasn't got a so this is now to here. Attach. Actor. It should be a component. Right, hang on a second. Attached to component. Right? And our component is going to come from here. And we're going to say notch. Get notch point. Right? And then that can go there. Okay. So after we've done the add to viewpoint, we'll test this out and see if we can attach an arrow. And we split that. Save that. We might need to spawn it here, but we'll soon find it. Right. Do we have an arrow? No, we do not. Now the interesting part is, does she actually have an arrow connected to her? We do. And it's basically fallen. Okay, not a bad thing. So we can get this and we can say world transform, and as another tester we'll recombine this and we'll just plug that in there. And we'll say always spawn. Okay, save that, press play. And we have an arrow again. And it's falling through the ground again. So it doesn't appear attached to our bow. Right, so we'll do that. And we'll do that. Right, but we need to split this again for it to compile. Now, I wouldn't be in the slightest bit surprised here. Right, we do have an arrow. And it is actually not falling around. Now, I'm just wondering here, well, for whatever reason, our arrow should actually be moving around, unless it's a relative position. Right? But it should actually be attached to our bow. Now the interesting thing here would be, if I actually, to make it easier to see and find out where the darn thing is, right? If I go here and actually switch on, our Niagara should actually be connected to the mesh, right? And if I auto activate this, right, it should be on fire. So when we actually create the arrow, it should be a damn sight easier to see in the dark. And you see where it was over there? It was over there somewhere. Let's have a look at that again. Oh, we need to do that. Now the answer is, our arrow is there, but where is it? Right? The point is, if it's at this location, right? Oops. That's the bowl. Right? If we click on the arrow, right, now I'm having a look about to see if I can see any fire. Now, it's a way up in the sky, because you'll notice that it's at 817. So if I bring that down to, let's say, 50, now it's got some weird gravity going on with it. Right, okay. Okay, I understand this now. Right. This is simple. The problem is that we have projectile movement, right? And we don't want it to have projectile movement until we tell it to, right? Until we basically press fire, okay? So you'll see that we have our arrow. And now it was blocking our pawn. Okie dokie. So we're going to say no collision to start with. Now you can see we have got an arrow and it is facing the wrong way. And it's interfering with basically everything. Ignore the pawn. Ignore. Alright. So there we go. But our problem now is the fact that our arrow is pivoted in the center point. Okay. So that's great. Now we could resolve that in a certain number of ways, but I'm going to show you, right, that there is our pivot point of our mesh. Now the interesting thing is that it is facing the wrong way. Except it isn't. And where? Right, if we add, right, so it was facing the right way. It's the fact it's our bow that's kind of weird. Right, it is in fact our bow or whatever that is kind of bizarre. So if we go back to our bow, actually, no we don't, we go back to here, and we keep it relative, Right, I'm going to save that. Right. So our bow's facing the wrong way and it's notching the wrong way. But you know what? I ain't gonna worry about it. Okay. And let's see what we've got. Okay. So basically we get that, we do that, that's all fine. What we do is we set a reference to this, right? So I'm going to need a variable. Okay. And we're going to call it notched arrow. Right. And this is taking us down a different road from where we started. But we have to notch it before we can light it. Okay. That's the basis for this. And we're going to set it. Right. So that's going to go in there. That's going to go there. I'm going to do that. And do that. And Gordon Bennett, we're going to have to delete them. Bring that back in. And we're going to tidy this up. So we'll grab that stuff and we'll drag it down a little bit. And drag that down a bit. We'll drag this down a bit. Then we'll straighten that. Okay. We'll tie this part up in a minute. And then what we do is we get our notched arrow and we get projectile movement and we activate. To true. I think we can just actually activate this as well. Yeah, activate. Okay. I think either or would work. Now this is going to go in here and this is going to go in here. And this is the sound it's going to make when you fire your arrow. So this is going to be your ka-chunk or whatever. Right, and this montage is going to be firing an arrow, which we don't have. Right, we don't have anything that is even remotely like firing an arrow. Okay. Now the interesting thing here is we might need to change its transform and then auto activate. Actually, what we'll need to do is we'll need to actually, well, I'll tell you what, let's see what happens, right? Let's see what happens when we do this. We might not need to actually detach this. Right, so there's our arrow, right? And then if we fire it, yeah, well, it collided with something. Yeah, it's still attached. Yeah, you can see it coming, see it behind me. There it's there, right? So it's basically we detach it and then fire it. That is the moral of the story here. And on that, I think I'm going to end it here, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed the stream, hit like and subscribe. It's been great having you here. Check out the description for links to the Patreon, my previous game on Steam, which you can add to your wish list, which would help me out. Buying it would help me better, but you know, it's free to add it to your wish list. And also my Patreon, which supports the channel and will go towards the game development. So thanks again for watching. I shall catch you tomorrow at 2 PM Central. Bye bye for now.